Welcome everyone to LuchaWorld Podcast episode number 67. Fredo here solo again. I think I'm alone. Oh, somebody's at the door. Hold on.
Fredo!
Oh, is that Kurt? Kurt is here. He's
Fredo,
made it.
let me in!
He's made it back to the LuchaWorld Podcast.
Fredo!
And he's watched a bunch of Lucha too, right?
Yeah. And for me, a bunch of Lucha is... I've actually watched several episodes of Lucha Underground this season, the third season.
You skipped the first two seasons, right?
That's right. I sporadically watched the first season. I watched the first episode of the second season, and then I didn't want to watch the rest of the season. Yeah. And went to hang out with my brother-in-law, Anthony. He said, hey, I downloaded some Lucha Underground. I said, let's check it out. And so I have watched the first 4 episodes, which I know you probably have covered already.
Yeah.
So I'll just really quickly just give my thoughts on it. Love the character Marty the Moth. I think that is awesome, and they should go with that cat. On the other hand, the Weapons of Mass Destructions match.
You don't like it?
I actually like the match, but to do an outdated David Spade bit, I'll say I liked it better when they were called hardcore matches. So the gimmick of the match was...
Well, yeah, we were talking about that on the other podcast, the Lucha Talk podcast, and we were talking about how when they said weapons of mass destruction, we were expecting explosives and stuff like that.
Oh, I was
like, we were expecting like scenes outdoors.
Yes.
Something like that. And
I was hoping maybe one of them would pull out some nuclear waste and one of the wrestlers would get a radioactive infection or disease or something.
How Lucha Underground missed on that, I'll never know.
Absolutely. Of all the shows that could have capitalized on that. Now, I do want to say I have enjoyed this season, and my favorite episode being the third episode. I love Pentagon Black, but then again, who doesn't? You're a fool if you don't. And I love the trio of Taya Valkyrie, Jack Evans, and I'm blanking on the...
PJ Black?
And
Johnny Mundo also. It's the foursome.
Oh my god, and I love Jack Evans as the new, fidgety, awkward, pouty... But he's becoming a whole new... But
you know why he's like that, right? His jaw was wired shut.
I was wondering because I realized he'll get there and do a couple of breakdancing moves and do limited high spots and, hey, old school, damn it. I love it, old school, because I remember when I was a kid, that's what they would do with a wrestler who was injured but still had to perform.
Yeah. They
would either have him do like a 23-second match, which you can't get away with really today, or they would have him in tags where they would have him do a couple of... and I did not know that Jack Evans' jaw was wired shut, but I did wonder if he was hurt.
Yeah, it was that. I think it was when something happened to this.
But I hope when he recovers that he keeps...
He does recover. He does recover episodes.
I keep forgetting.
You're like only four episodes in, so...
That's right.
He did recover because we know he had a lot to say later in the...
That's right. Yes, he had a lot to say in an interview, and the poor guy, it cost him his job.
Yeah.
That's wrestling. You got to be careful what you say.
What did you think about that?
Well, I heard what you and Dylan and...
Liger Fever
were saying on it, and on a gut level, it's not fair, but you know what? That's how wrestling has always been.
If you work for the company, you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. You have to accept it. And who knows what his contract says about...
I do appreciate that he actually talked. It wasn't just about him. It was for other people.
Yes, I agree. I thought that was awesome. And I like him. And to be honest...
But you knew the consequences. That's going to happen.
Exactly. And to be honest, I wonder if this will just open up more opportunities for him. I think that guy's...
He's still wrestling Lucha Underground, so...
Yes.
So it didn't affect that.
And I don't know the indie scene really well, but I would imagine he's somebody who would be in demand.
And he has been. He's been getting a lot of bookings in the U.S. and Europe, so...
So, on one hand... he paid the price. On the other hand, maybe he's getting paid for paying the price, like he might have more opportunities.
Yeah, I think the only concern is, like, since he wrestles and his family's in Mexico,
yes,
he probably needs to have that job.
That's
specifically
true.
With a promotion in Mexico.
Is his family, are they Americans in Mexico or
Mexicans?
Oh, geez, yeah, that is a rough one.
His wife.
That is a tricky one.
I don't know if he's married. I think it's just his girlfriend. He might be married to her.
Wow.
But he has a daughter or son with her.
Yeah.
A kid with her.
Yeah, that's true. Although,
so what else did you like about Lucha Underground? Nothing. Dario Cueto was great.
I love Dario Cueto. Matanza, I really like the gimmick. The only thing that I would have done different is when he goes up against Son of Havoc, it seemed like they're kind of introducing that whole concept of him.
The Dial of Doom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would think...
it's so weird to talk Lucha Underground with you.
It's weird to talk about it.
Although we did earlier on, because we did go to
some of the tapings.
Yeah.
It's not that the match was bad, but when you're trying to get over that this guy is going to destroy people, he should have mowed over Son of Havoc and not given him so many spots. And it's not because Son of Havoc doesn't deserve it. It's just you're trying to get this guy over as this destroyer. I loved. Was it the Mac he wrestled on?
The Mac?
Yeah.
But see, the Mac versus him kind of works because he's big. He's a bigger dude.
It did. And the Mac is... Well, I used to say he was the best kept secret in wrestling, but now...
What was he called in Johnny Legend's one show, Rocket Weedy?
I can't remember.
He was one of the Mary Jane brothers.
That's right.
Weedy or Tweety or whatever. I just remember because we were talking about Ricardo Rodriguez.
Yes.
And I was telling the guys on Lucha Talk. Yeah, I think Johnny Webb booked him for a Johnny Legend show. So
he did.
Yeah, yes. We were we remember him before. So I remember when I found out he was going to WWE, I was like, dude, that guy wasn't that great. And they're like, oh, he's an announcer. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. And he actually was really good in the role as Ricardo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
but these guys all want to be wrestlers.
That's too bad because I understand it because if I was that age, I think I wanted to wrestle. But to think you get a job where you take minimal bumps and announce somebody coming in. I mean, that's kind of cool. But que sera. So anyway, I love Lucha Underground, and what I love about it is it's a 1 hour show. I think wrestling really needs more 1 hour shows where, let's put it this way. When I saw episode 3, it was the first episode I watched that day at my bro-in-law's.
You basically watched 4 episodes of Lucha Underground, which is about a little more than 1 episode of Raw.
Yes,
so it's
exactly.
That's what it's so much easier to watch.
And the non-wrestling sequences are much more fascinating than anything Raw could ever do.
They do get a little carried away with some of the stuff, like the police story that you watched that, right?
That episode did nothing for me.
And I'm glad they kind of got rid of that for a bit. So it's like
that was that did nothing for me.
Yeah.
But a lot of their, a lot of their surreal psychedelic touch I dig. But what I love, it's a 1 hour show, and I watched the first 2 episodes one day at my bro-in-law's, and then the next time I came over, when I watched episode 3, at the end of it, I'm like, oh my god, I want to watch more of this.
Yeah.
When we've talked about this 100 times, just even on live indie shows, they have a show that goes 5 hours and everybody wants to go home. When you want to keep them hungry, you want to make them say, I can hardly wait to come back and see more. And that's kind of how...
Unless it's like PWG where you do want to stay there and you're just curious because you want to see really great wrestling. It just wears you out because it's so much at once.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's not because it's bad, it's just because you're so tired of
Absolutely.
From the the energy.
And PWG is such a unique promotion.
Yeah. Plus, we can't afford it now. So.
I know. And even we could afford it,
we can't get it
sometime. No, to be PWG.
Lucha Underground. I remember when they would put up the tickets. I would ask you, and then you'd be like, "Let me see if Dan and Mary Lou want to go." So then I think it would take like 2 or 3 days, and by the third day they were already sold out.
Yes,
like they were like not sold out, but just already like sold out, just filled out with all the requests.
Yeah.
So it's like that's when I stopped. Yeah, then that's when I just stopped. Like within minutes they were already getting people. So it's like you know what, forget it. We could go to a bunch of indie shows.
Absolutely. So that's my my thoughts on Lucha Underground and. I didn't take notes or anything, and besides, I know we probably covered it before. I've
covered it like on 2 shows.
Absolutely, so I don't want to. I just want to give a thumbnail sketch. Yeah. I think what we should talk about is several things. Is there's a different direction LuchaWorld will be going in, and on top of that, both you and I have.
Yeah, I'm quitting the podcast.
So now I'm going to have to come to Walnut Kills.
Do the show and figure out who you're going to do it
Yes, you're going to have to go grab a burger while I do the show. You have to go out and do some shopping or something like that. I'm taking over LuchaWorld. It's going to be tricky.
You don't want to watch all that wrestling.
I just want to watch some CMLL and, now I want to watch Lucha Underground.
I was telling you. Well, I mentioned it on one of the last. Was it the show you were on the last time, or was it when I was on my own? I think I was on my own because I think I edited out all the part where I kind of go off tangent.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, so we're doing, since I'm doing Lucha Talk, and I'm doing the LuchaWorld Podcast. I think the LuchaWorld Podcast. I think we should just do it every once in a while.
Yes.
I think that's the plan with that one. But I also I started talking about that we should focus more on classic, because I mean nobody else can really talk about classic lucha.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a couple of people who do, but a lot of people they focus more on the current headlines, on the current big names. And I was just thinking, there's so much lucha from the past that people haven't really had time to go through.
I agree, and
I'm not just saying really old. I'm talking like even like going back to like WCW and the Luchadors when they were there.
Yes.
AAA like in 2000 or CML in 2000. The 90s, the 80s, then you go to 70s, 60s, and on and on. And
in recent years, on my part,
you've been focusing more on the research side of things.
Yeah, too. I have been having a blast researching both the history of lucha in Mexico going back to the 30s, but not just that. I'm realizing how many of these guys who were really popular in Mexico were also really successful journeymen.
Yeah, so then
here in America, and they haven't been. It hasn't been written about, and they were draws too. They weren't just like.
Yeah. So then I mentioned the Lucha Classica show on one of the podcasts that I want to do a classic podcast. So from that, I started uploading and editing. I started editing because the Slam and Stand podcast, when we would do it on Blog Talk Radio and Talk Show, we did it over the phone. And they didn't do... this one is more of... what we use now is an audio recorder where it records us in stereo.
Yes.
So there's two... there's the left and right ear. But that show, the way it was done, you could barely hear... I could barely hear myself, and you could hear yourself. You were fine, because I think you were using a different type of phone.
I was using the landline.
Yeah, I was using landline, but I think because I was next to the computer.
Oh, okay.
I think it takes away a lot of or something was going on.
I remember the first few episodes.
Yeah. So then what I started doing was I started editing it out, leveling it out, doing all that, and removing the Blog Talk Radio part of it. There's one where there's like an ad. I'm like, dude, we didn't have ads on. There's one that had an ad, and I was like, why do we have ads on this?
Yes.
But it's Blog Talk Radio. So I thought, let's put it all together. And while I was doing that, I realized we actually had some pretty good episodes of Slam and Stand. So what I was thinking of doing, Slam and Stand would focus more on American wrestling. Because sometimes you talk about lucha. Like, say you do a show where we're talking about 1992 or 1993 lucha, or like talking about Blue Panther.
Yes.
Then on the American side, you could always talk about like the American guys who went to lucha to Mexico, and talk about them. What they did in America, like their careers, like
yes,
Love Machine Art Bar. He had a pretty interesting career here in the U.S. Portland, WCW, being Beetlejuice, the Legal Troubles, all of that stuff. So I thought maybe we could do something like that. So basically, instead of just doing the LuchaWorld podcast, we're going to do LuchaWorld podcast, the classic Lucha podcast, which right now I'm thinking Lucha Classica would be the name, and the third show would be Slam and Stand.
Yes,
all 1 hour each.
It'll be yes.
I think that would be the easiest thing.
It will be fun to have a kind of a rather structured show, and like I said, I've been really just fascinated with finding more about the wrestlers from Mexico or South America, their participation here in the States.
Yeah, and a lot of the Mexicans come to the U.S. also, and you could talk about that on Slam and Slam, because they might
Absolutely,
be.
yeah.
Chavo Guerrero was in Mid-South. Tito Santana was in WWE, although he wasn't in Mexico. Somebody like that. Somebody like that who had a pretty long career in the U.S. not just WWF, but also Mid-South, Texas.
Gorman and Goliath weren't just Los Angeles. Texas, Georgia, another territory, was it Kansas? I can't remember, but they were. And some stuff that I didn't know. I and I knew what a cool tag team they were, but I've been reading what hot singles draw Black Orban was for a while, and
so there's just
so much stuff.
There's so much to talk about. Like I know, like a lot of people would be like, it's basically like Between the Sheets, but it's really not going to be that, because Between the Sheets basically focuses on 1 week of wrestling and go into great detail on every single promotion. We're not going to do that where it's like, let's talk about... I'm not a big WWE fan, so it's like I'm probably not going to want to talk about that as much.
And that we have in common, definitely.
Yeah, so it's like I'm talking more like territories. Maybe just individual wrestlers, if they worked in WWE, that would be fine, but it's like more of that than anything else. And I also added the show to Podbean, the podcast. It's all going to be on Podbean, because we're probably going to do the other 2 shows as paid content.
Yes.
I'm thinking just $2.95, something like that. Something like, because I don't want to do Patreon. I don't see the point. Like, if you're going to pay for something, you're paying for the show. If you don't want to get the show, you don't have to pay for it.
Absolutely.
If you're not going to listen to it, you're still going to get the LuchaWorld podcast for free. The other stuff is going to be paid. But the reason it's on Podbean, and Kurt just downloaded this, there's an app. And if you sign up to Podbean, you get everything on the app. Mm-hmm. And you can listen to it on your phone, your tablet, on a web browser. Kurt just downloaded it.
And as much as I love computers, I am not computer savvy.
And it sounds perfect. I downloaded it to my iPhone. It sounded perfect.
Yes.
And it looks nice. It's all well formatted. The only problem right now is that I'm uploading all the Slam and Stand, so it's going to look like I'm just doing Slam and Stand. But if you keep loading the thing, it has everything from the Slam and Stand podcast. It's going to have the LuchaWorld podcast, and it has interviews. It has the interviews that we did with from everybody, Mil Muertes. I think the Sexy Star interviews there also. Thunder Rosa, Volador Jr. Both his interviews, Traumas, Negro Navarro. Also, the other thing, the reason I'm paying is like, we go to a lot of shows, and like I think a lot of people don't realize, when you go to indie wrestling shows, for one, I feel guilty not paying them.
Yes.
And the other one, you don't get comped. Very rarely do you get comped.
We don't.
So it's like, and I don't really feel like I want to.
There have been a few
There have been a few, like, friends of ours.
Yes.
There's friends of ours.
And there's even been a few times where we could have gotten comped and we didn't, because we knew they were shelling out money to.
Yeah, because they do a lot of benefit shows, and like they pay and all.
Well, we've been talking about the whole new structure of LuchaWorld and
all this stuff won't be happening.
Absolutely, no, it's going to be a different thing. But that's another thing that we want to touch on is. You are doing the Lucha Talk podcast, which really is going over the Lucha news thoroughly, where I am somebody who is watching Lucha sporadically.
And it's done weekly, to the point where I think it's like, when I was doing this show on my own, it was kind of like repetitive.
Yes, absolutely.
And I was like, I think this
absolutely.
Although there's a lot of stuff, because if you do it on a Monday, in Lucha, Wednesdays when there's a lot of news.
Yes.
So when I would do it on a Thursday, it worked. But then, like, there's so much of it that I just...
There's so much of it, and I think this is kind of... personally, I think it'd be more fun for you to...
Yeah, just doing something... Just do something completely different.
And then also, on my part, I have... every now and then, I'm been the guest co-host on Brian Last's super podcast, 605 show, which is...
You got it right.
Can you believe it? As opposed to... Lucha Mundo. I mean, Lucha...
Or Stam and Slam.
Stam and Slam. Lucha Walk. I mean, Lucha Work. I mean, Lucha El Mundo de lo Lucha. But I've been, guest co-host several times of that show. A lot of fun doing that. And so it'll be fun, you and I trying a whole new project.
Yeah, I know it'll be a little more formatted than the other Slam and Stam that we were doing.
Yeah.
I think if you listen to the first few episodes of Slam and Stand when we first started in 2009, which is weird that we started in 2009.
It's weird to think how long ago.
Yeah, because you listen to all these other podcasts, man, they've only been doing it for like 3 or 4 years. We've been doing it for way longer than that.
Which is a trip to think.
Yeah, it's so weird because it's like so. And those shows, we would always come up with different stuff. Like we did an episode on the Jobbers, which is going to be uploaded at some point. I think that was like in the first 10 episodes.
I think we got more feedback from that episode than any other.
That and then the Win episode, which I liked also. That's kind of more.
Was a fun
that's kind of more of what I thought about the Lucha Classica show, doing something like that when we did the Win episode, and then the Jobbers one, because we were talking about the Jobbers. That's more of what I was thinking of Slam and Stand, because I thought that was what that was all about. And LuchaWorld Podcast basically would still be something where we talk about the stuff that we watched.
Yes.
Because there's so much that we watch, or any of the news that happened during the past couple of weeks that maybe people want to know your opinion on it.
Yeah, and I would like that because
it keeps you updated on Lucha too.
It keeps me updated on Lucha, and this would be more my domain because to be honest, I want to watch mainly CMLL. I don't want to. I don't want to go. I don't want to continue to say I'm going to try to watch Puebla AAA, all this stuff, because I know I'm not going to.
He admitted it. He finally admitted it.
No, I'm very ADHD, although I prefer to call it Space Cadet Syndrome, because it has more charm to it. But I have just way too many interests, and also I find that when I watch lots and lots of wrestling, I stop enjoying it, and all I do is analyze it.
Yeah, and then you complain about it.
Exactly, and I want to analyze it and enjoy it. So and that's just the way I fly.
Yeah, because I think analysis works on like when you're writing.
Yes.
I think it works sometimes in podcasts, but it has to be something where it's like very short time. Because I mean, like, there's points where I'll listen to somebody's podcast and they're just going on and on about what's wrong with the promotion. Or like when you watch a Raw, because so many people do the Raw recaps, it's like, how many times can you listen to that stuff and people analyzing it? So it's like, I thought, like, this would be easier for us. The LuchaWorld Podcast would be like, if you're doing 3 shows, you could do it 3 weeks or once this week. The second week would be the other show, and then the other show. So I think, and there's going to be a way where we're going to do it where it's going to actually work out, where it's not going to be too difficult on us to like do 3 shows. It's not going to be a show every week or anything.
Right.
We could record 3 shows at once or 2 shows at once, and move on and do something else.
We're going to try to put some shows in the vault.
Yeah.
And they're not timely.
We already have in the vault the ones I'm uploading. Those things are crazy. I'm worried about the 2-hour ones. I don't want to get the ones where all of us might get in trouble for some of the stuff we said on Slam and Stand.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll review some of those before we'll see.
Well, I'm actually listening and that's the other thing. The other reason I'm doing the Slam and Stand, recapping them and editing them out, because I get to listen to them and write the description of what the shows were. Because there was points, I think, towards like the middle part of those, we stopped doing descriptions, or we did descriptions because we were on Blog Talk Radio, and Blog Talk Radio and Talk Show, you had to put the description before you actually recorded it.
Yes.
So we would keep the description that we had previously.
Oh yes,
and we never would fix it. So like I was looking at the 3rd episode or the 2nd episode of Slam and Stand, and we had like this thing about Cibernetico returning to AAA and Perros del Mal and all this stuff, and I'm listening to it, and that's not even like what we talked about. We talked about like the Hollywood Blondes and and Juventud Guerra starting his own promotion.
As much fun as we had with it, the structure kind of dissipated a bit, and
so it was very difficult to like remember. So I think that's what's helping also. Okay. And when I listen to it, it sounds very nostalgic too. Like,
so that's the scoop there. And Fredo, you have some lucha,
Mascara Dorada's final weekend CMLL.
Amazing.
Yeah,
it's actually happened.
It happened.
That's great.
It's over. This past Friday was his last match. He did a bunch of interviews where he talked about his what he wanted in his final match, and he wanted he didn't specify if he wanted a tag match or a trios match, but what he didn't even want a singles match, which is really kind of weird. Because Sarah Stock, Dark Angel, got her final match with Princesa Suhei, and La Sombra got Rush in his last match. So they got singles matches. Mascara Dorada didn't really ask for a singles match. What he wanted to team up with Atlantis, and he wanted Negro Casas on the opposite side.
Oh, how cool.
Because those were the 2 guys that he felt were the most supportive towards him in his career with CMLL. So what they did, they had Atlantis team up with Mascara Dorada along with Diamante Azul. Diamante Azul was kind of just a throw-in.
Yeah, exactly. He was the Dr. Jerry Niebla.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible that maybe he's a good friend of Mascara Dorada, and
possibly.
We don't know the story. And yeah, because I think Titan's in Japan still, so that's. Yeah. I watched it. He was in the opener.
He was in Indianapolis.
He was in, and then the team they were facing was Peste Negra, nice. Felino and Barbaro Carbonario. Oh. Felino, of course, was the guy when Mascara Dorada first showed up in CML Mexico City. Mm-hmm. He kind of struggled. So they put him in to feud with Virus and Felino. Those were the two. Remember, those were the two guys that Sombra.
Yes.
All those guys would get. Mascara Dorada. All those guys would get. Those would be the first two veterans they would get. Felino was the one that Mascara Dorada got. So and then Barbaro Carbonario is one of Mascara Dorada's good friends. Mm-hmm. So they had him in there.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
oh my god.
So the match, and the Friday show was really like, if you take that match out of it, it was a really bad Friday show.
Right.
Which is sad because I don't know. You haven't been watching the Friday shows?
Sporadically, as always.
Did you watch?
Sporadically is one of my
you didn't watch the Volador Jr. Barbaro Carbonario matches?
Yes, I did. Oh my god, that was amazing.
So that stuff was great. There was a run where they had some good matches, but this show wasn't very good. If you take the farewell match, it wasn't good. But the farewell match, it made it feel very special. It should have been the main event, really.
Yes.
It was a semi-main event. So Mascara Dorada, they had their match. First fall, Mascara Dorada takes the loss, and everybody assumed, watch him lose on his way out. Second fall, I think, I can't remember who won that fall. The Rudos obviously won that, but I can't remember how the conclusion was to that. But the third fall was everybody does the dives to the outside, leaving Mascara Dorada and Negro Casas as the last two guys in the match. And Mascara Dorada pins Negro Casas with La Casita for the win.
Oh, very cool.
So he got the win.
Little surprise.
And then they did this whole thing where all the locker room comes out.
Oh, wow.
And they all lift them.
Awesome.
Mascara Dorada got emotionally cried, and there was like a point where he kind of looked like he was fainting or something.
Wow.
And Negro Casas lifted him up,
Lord.
and then they put him on his shoulders. Then he stood on top of on a turnbuckle.
Okay,
and that was it was a good. Yeah, I recommend if you haven't seen it. I think Cubs fan will probably post it late on Tuesday. It might be. I don't think it's up on. It might be up on YouTube already right now because people record that show like.
I hope this career move is.
Yeah, actually, somebody did. Somebody did.
Really, I've been a fan of his. To be honest, I've only been watching him.
You know what was cool?
For a short time, but I really, really like Mascara Dorada.
Yeah, and you know what was cool? He does this very first thing. Barbaro Carbonario and him start brawling, and Barbaro Carbonario throws him over the guardrail. And after he throws him over the guardrail, he throws him right at the announcer's that booth. And I'm like, dude, this guy's still going at 100%. Then he does the tope at Negro Casas.
Yes.
But you've seen Dorada's topes. They're just these fucking insane topes. And he just hits Negro Casas really hard. And then the camera comes back to Negro Casas, and Negro Casas is smiling. He's just like smiling, his big old smile, like he's so happy, excited about the match and everything.
Oh my god, that's great! That's awesome.
So I thought that was cool. Awesome. I thought, man, Negro Casas should be in the cruiserweight division.
I saw you mention that on Twitter, and I so agree with you.
Because
they'll probably mess it up.
They probably shave his head or darken his hair and everything.
Yes, and call him Julio
Casas.
Yes, or something like that.
Well, his name is Jose Casas, so they could just go.
They'll still call him Julio.
Joe House or something.
Or they'll build him from Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Retarded like that.
Yeah. So then after the match, Boxy Lucha did an interview with Mascara Dorada. We all knew he was going to WWE. Mm-hmm. He said that, but he mentioned that they had signed him to a 3-year deal, which doesn't mean that much. It means a lot to him. If he lasts 3 years, great. But a contract. There's guys who, because it doesn't really. It's kind of like a football contract. They could give you like $100 million, but it's not like the $100 million contract. $20 million guaranteed, and then it's like the years aren't guaranteed. You maybe out of a 5-year deal, you might last 1 or 2 years. That's how it is with the WWE contract.
Very cool. Oh,
yeah.
Man.
So he
very emotional.
He had a great departure.
Oh, I will mention 2 matches that I did see recently. I saw the Volador versus Valiente.
Yeah.
I loved that match. I loved the surprise. I honestly didn't think...
Yeah, I know you haven't been on the show since... What did you think of Valiente? Did you watch the tournament?
I just watched bits and pieces of the tournament, but I made a point to watch that match when I saw that was going to be...
Were you surprised that he won the first block?
I was surprised.
And then you were surprised he won them?
I was triple surprised.
When he won.
And clean.
Yeah.
And, and it was fun hearing the crowd pop for it, too. I was so certain it was going to be Volador.
Yeah.
And you know what, I think both you and I have always been a big fan of Valiente.
Well, you know, I think people are down on him now because he's lost weight and he looks ripped and he's wearing these tiny trunks. But you know, like, I've always liked him. He's a nice guy too. Like, just when you hear about him, like helping poor kids and shit like that.
Yes,
yes. You know, he seems like a really nice guy. You know, yeah, the way he looks. You know, you kind of, you know, you're not into that stuff.
But he's still performing wonderfully.
Although I can't really say that because you just saw the girl I was hitting on. So
she was gorgeous. Oh my god! Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So no, but he. You know,
I found out.
It's not like a.
I should mention. I found out later she was a fitness model. So.
Yeah, she. These pictures, she is beautiful.
Yeah, so it was weird.
Very gorgeous, but. You know, it's not like he's doing a Scott Steiner where he's getting this buff build and now he's a different... I mean,
yeah, where he's insane and shit like that.
Yeah, and he's still doing those planchas like it's second.
I think what it is, a lot of it's because he's still doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
So they're kind of used to him, whereas you see all these other people like, oh, they're because it's like that with everything in wrestling or in life in general.
Yes.
The new thing is the new. It's the new flavor of the month. Everybody forgets about everybody else. You know, like that's how it is with everybody.
I enjoy him. I kind of dig his new look. Although I really liked his old look too. I loved that almost like how do you say knight in shining armor? Like flying like effortlessly. And I think that's one thing for all the bumbling things that CMLL does. They do surprises like this every day.
Well, what about that?
Really,
what about that?
Really,
you haven't watched Hechicero versus Rey Bucanero, but how about Valiente on Friday gets his big win, pretty much elevates him, and then the Tuesday after that, Hechicero gets his win over Rey Bucanero to win the NWA historic light heavyweight title. Ooh, I remembered it.
And I got Super Podcast right, and you got
Yeah. I remember that one of the 19 or 20 titles in CML.
So now the current National Wrestling Alliance won't be screaming and freaking out that you got it wrong.
Yeah. Well, they're upset with CML. Remember that?
Yeah, they're upset with everybody.
They're upset. Do they still exist?
They raved about who the most recent champion.
I have to look that up.
I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if they exist. I know Championship.
I can't remember his name, and it was the first time I ever heard this guy's name too.
Oh, really?
So
he listens to our podcast.
Okay, edit in his name and say how wonderful he is.
Yes.
Say he's a beautiful human being. He's the other match I saw was the title match with Dalys and Marcela, and I kind of echo. What you say about the women's division. I think there's some good workers, but man, some of them are so green. And to have a title match with Dalys, in my opinion, she's improved, but she can't carry somebody like Marcela.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been a good match had Dalys dominated the match. She gave Marcela a lot of spots that Marcela just couldn't.
And Marcela's been around for a really long time too.
Yeah, but Dalys looks a lot more. I mean,
are you saying Dalys is better than Marcela now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I
remember
think so.
2 years ago, Marcela was like the best female wrestler in Mexico.
And the other thing about Dalys.
It wasn't too long ago where Marcela did that really cool spot where she did a monkey like she flipped over the top rope into a Rana.
See, I don't.
And now she's not even doing that stuff. Like
yeah, and it's not that I thought.
I think it's just because it's like I said with somebody else. It's like it's repetitive. It's too much.
Exactly.
It's the same people over and over again.
And she looks so tentative in her spots. And Dalys, and I know old school people will hate me saying this, but one thing I do give Dalys credit for is she looks tentative with her opponents, but I can tell that it looks to me like she doesn't want to hurt them.
Yeah.
It looks like she's a little gun shy, she's scared of stiffing them.
But that's like a lot of women's wrestling.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more of a pause to what they do. Whereas guys, it's like the really good male wrestlers, there's a little more flow to their...
And there's in
like Mascara Dorada, he's going to do tope. He's not going to be like, oh, I'm going to hurt this guy. He just toped Negro Casas.
Yes, exactly.
Who's twice his age.
Yes.
Like he try to like nail him.
Well,
through the
he knows it's
guardrail.
Negro Casas, so he knows Negro Casas going to know what's coming.
Yeah.
But somebody like I don't know of course, we'll probably never see the match, but I don't know. But I think if one of the Apache girls was in there, she would.
Nah.
No, it wouldn't be a great match. No, it wouldn't be a great match. But
I think the trouble with the Apache girls is that they don't respect a lot of people.
Really.
So I think it'd be harder for them with Dallas.
I think you told me that they just kind of will rush. But I think the match would have been better if Dallas gave herself more of the spots. I think she has a good ring presence.
And I never really thought about the Apaches that way until I started thinking, Fabi Apache's best matches were always like when she was feuding like in that story. I think her more than anything was when she was doing that storyline with Billy Boy and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So she would feud with her sister. So it's like she's not gonna be disrespectful towards her sister. Or she was feuding with like the women who were a little old, like more established, like the Las Brujas who weren't gonna take shit. Plus those Brujas back then were really good.
Yes.
Now they're like not very good. They're old. They're much older now.
Oh yeah, totally. But you'll see some of the more experienced woman workers, and they're good with each other, but you don't see ones who are good at carrying somebody less experienced.
Yeah.
And that's part of being a wrestler. But then again, there's not a big pool to choose from.
Yeah. Well, Marcela's been around a long time, so that's not the problem.
She just isn't quite... there's some people who are never going to quite... No, I
think you're forgetting Marcela was really good.
No, she was really good.
Yeah.
But when I watch her now, you would swear she was somebody...
She wasn't the same person?
Yeah, if I saw her and I didn't see...
No, you're not the only one, because I've had other people say that they don't think she's as good as she is.
Yeah.
But, it's also because they don't remember seeing her. Like, they might have started watching wrestling later, and like, no, she was really good. Like, she was amazing.
And if I hadn't seen her before...
Yeah.
I would think she's somebody starting out who's green.
I don't think it's that far. I just think she's just not as good as she used to be.
Not bad, but
not the green part.
She looks so gun shy.
Marcela?
In that match?
I don't think that. I just think she's not that good anymore.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with being green.
No. I'm not saying she.
If you want to see green, you could watch those trios matches with
I'm not saying she
the
is.
The cast of Lluvia and Estrellita.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. No. I'm not saying she
Comandante.
is. I'm not saying she is green. I'm saying if I saw her and I'd never seen her before, I'd say.
No, I know. But I'm saying she was really good.
Oh, I know she was good. Yeah, I'm just saying if I had seen her in this match with Dalys and had never seen her before, I wouldn't think that she was somebody who was experienced.
Well, see, because I think that Dalys, a lot of what she does, it's just she's very mechanical in the ring.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I don't think she's that. I don't think like you're saying she's better than Marcela. I don't think that. I wouldn't go that far. I don't think Dalys. I think Dalys has improved, but I don't think she's.
No. I think it would have.
A lot of what she does.
I think it would have appeared a lot better because. She definitely...
She ain't no Negro Casas.
Oh, God, no. There's no Negro Casas. Yeah, and no, I'm not saying that Dalys is this pro who could carry... Well, one, that was the thing is...
Yeah, and that's the problem. She was the heel. She had to carry...
Exactly.
She was the one calling the match.
And the thing is, I think if she didn't give Marcela so many spots, it would have looked more effective. It would have looked like she was beating her down. And I know that's not done anymore, but I think sometimes it's okay to have a title match where it looks like somebody.
But that's
dominated.
a lot. That's her. That's her experience in that.
You're right.
But she's improved a lot. But like, if you were watching that match, you saw Nero Casas as a second.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice how he never really moved out of his corner?
Yep.
In the Hechicero Bucanero match,
mm-hmm.
Nero Casas keeps running all over the place because those guys were nonstop. Like and Rey Bucanero, I mean, he's been criticized for how bad he's been lately, just because age and injuries.
Oh yeah.
He just brought it for that match. Really, he carried his end of that match. But Hechicero's like at a different level. But like I was saying, like it comes down. I feel bad sometimes because like we'll not just this podcast, but when we do Lucha Talk. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about women's wrestling,
mm-hmm.
and sometimes I don't even want to talk about it, really, because I'm not really as into it. But it's like we don't say anything good about it. It's all bad. It's all like always bad stuff. It's like, and I feel like, man, dude, and you know it's like you don't want, and then the women are more interactive on Twitter and Facebook and all this stuff, and it's like Instagram and all this stuff. The female wrestlers, it's like, man, I hope they don't listen to my podcast. It's like it sounds like I'm being shitty to them, but it's because it doesn't flow.
And for me, I guess I'm a little more. My viewpoint of it is a little more mixed, and I think that's because one, I don't watch multiple matches of theirs. I'll see maybe once. If they're on a show, I'll see it. There was a point where
I try not to either.
No, there was a point a few months ago where I was watching several shows.
So you would know it was really bad.
and I could see it gets really repetitive. On the other hand, I do think they try, they work hard. It's just it's just
you know also what it is.
It's really, they have the same trios matches, and they and.
It's the same group of women all the time.
It's the same group of women, and there's some experienced ones who
probably shouldn't be around wrestling.
There's some who are good, who should be learning to carry the younger ones, and the younger ones don't
really get it.
No, that's my take, anyways.
But it's weird because we're critiquing, and this is the weird thing about wrestling, and you know, with anything, we're critiquing it, but there's people who actually like that stuff. Ray Phoenix was
mm-hmm.
asked on Conan's podcast what he likes to watch from CMLL,
mm-hmm.
and he said he liked watching Dragon Lee matches,
mm-hmm.
and because he thinks he's really good, and he said he also likes watching the women's wrestling. And so Conan's like, who do you like watching? He said he mentioned Zeuxis, who's really good.
Yes,
she's the one I think is really good, but you know, she's probably going to leave at some point. She's going to go to WWE at some point.
And I think Amapola is a great worker, and it's not just because I have a crush on her. She is a great worker.
And then he said he also thinks Tiffany's good.
Really? No, I want to.
But that's a wrestler, and you know, and then people are like, oh, he's a poor judge, and it's like, yeah, but that's what everybody like. We go to indie shows, and the promoter will ask us, what do you think about that guy? And we're like, yeah, he wasn't very good. And the person's like, yeah, he was all right. Somebody else will say, hey, he was all right, and it's like. Yeah, you know, everybody has different...
Another thing you got to think, and I think one of the reasons I give them some leeway is when I watch wrestling, I do this a lot more than I used to, is of course I am going to compare it with other matches I've seen, but at the same time, I try to step outside of the box and put myself, if I were a casual fan who watches wrestling regularly but doesn't watch it rabidly, would there be something in this match I find entertaining? And
no, there isn't. Let's move on.
Some of them I do. Some of the women's matches I do. Some I don't. But that's kind of why I give it a little leeway.
Yeah, on CML it's very difficult because like there's so many shows, and then
mm-hmm.
it's very similar. A lot of it. I mean, it's amazing. Like, they haven't really done anything where, like, the Friday show, I think a lot of people watch the Friday show because that's actually the one show that's different. But then when they get really lazy and they have, like, the opening match is similar to the other stuff. Oh, this Friday show was a train wreck. The opening match, Flyer got knocked out.
Did you really?
And then Espanto Jr., you know the baseball slide?
Yes.
On the apron.
Yes.
He slid, and I guess his foot got caught between it, and he hurt his.
Oh my god!
I don't know what happened to him.
I got to be honest. That looks like a simple move, and I've never done it, but people I know said it's simple. But I've heard of more people getting injuries, including career altering.
I think it.
I didn't know until recently. That's Troy Graham. That's how he got the really bad injury.
Oh, really? Doing a baseball slide off the...
Yeah, what podcast did I hear that on? It
wasn't this podcast.
It was.
Although I would talk about Troy Graham. He's the Dream Machine, right?
Yes, the Dream Machine. I think it was one of the Brian Last podcasts where probably somebody like Cornette was on or somebody like that. But I had never known that was...
I'm just glad nobody else who does podcasts realizes I like all this other stuff. So they don't invite me to do those 4-hour podcasts.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm like, please don't invite me to that stuff.
Well,
when we do the slam and stand, that's why we'll charge. That way we don't have to.
So you have to.
They won't listen to us.
This is where you got to take a page from my book. I often get asked to do podcasts, but in fact, I can't remember who. Somebody asked you, could you tell Kurt not to do his crazy, wild hippie guru thing? And I don't,
but you notice,
I'm going to.
Am I right? Am I right? They don't tell you; they tell me. Remember? Yep. And it's like, what do you want me to do? It's like it's always hilarious. And this isn't just people emailing us, and it's people who actually know us who will tell me, and then I will tell you to stop. And it's like, and you're like, really? That's weird.
So what you got to do is you got to come up with some sort of psychotic personality and start doing when people ask you to do these shows.
Yeah, no, they don't ask me. I'm just saying I'm kind of glad just because it would be so difficult.
If they knew how much you like Memphis.
Yeah, how much I like Memphis and Continental and all this other stuff. And it'd be difficult because, I mean, like Chris Zellner's and Bix's where I would have to remember one week in 1996 or 1995 or 1990.
It was dumb luck that the one time I was on their show is when they were covering a month in 1993 where I just happened to be like really involved with both Michinoku Pro and Ron Skolder when AAA was here, and it was just by sheer dumb luck. I was really in tune to what was going on in the general wrestling scene for just maybe a 3-month period. So. But no, if you went up to 96 or 97, I'd go, oh wow, WWF was on TV then? Yeah, really? You know.
Well, see, that's the one bright positive with Lucha Talk also is that those guys will edit out anything crazy we might say. And we've actually done really well with that show. Like it's actually been a good show.
Or see, if I was editing a show, I would edit out any pertinent information, just put all the crazy stuff in.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, that baseball slide is...
Yeah, and it's like that show was just and it just... Because Rob Viper, tweets out, I hope I didn't make a mistake watching this or something like that. And I was like, you're going to regret it. And sure enough, like 5 minutes later, that injury happens, and I'm like, see, it's already gone downhill, and it's like...
Yeah. Well, another thing, how you're talking about the repetitiveness of matches, and I'll say this even for good matches, I would think... If you're a promotion and you're aware that in this day and age...
Everybody's watching it.
Not just everybody's watching the Friday show, you also have available Puebla on Monday. Is Tuesday
still available, yeah. And then the Saturday show airs on Fox Deportes. But I mean, I'm not counting the TV shows, because the TV shows, I think nowadays, most of us don't really watch that stuff, or will watch it. But it's like, we're not expecting it to be like I'm talking like live or available online.
Yeah, so if you are cognizant that there are going to be a good number of like avid fans who are going to watch several of your different shows a week,
make it different.
Yeah, make it different. Mix some stuff up.
It upsets me because that Tuesday show, the marquee for it is Martes de Nuevos Valores. Tuesday's New Stars for Tuesday or whatever you want to say it. And it's like, they don't really do anything different. Like, I would love to see, like, Hechicero as, like, the main guy, as the main heel. You have Puma and Tiger as your secondary heels. And then you have the Dinamitas, the Junior Dinamitas, who are fucking fantastic. Really good. They're great on promos, too, like the Sanson.
Really
good. I think they're going to be, like, I don't think they're going to be at the level of the Dinamitas, the first ones, because, I mean, that was a different era where everything was selling out.
Absolutely.
And I think these guys have a ton of talent. They should be like that. They should be like in that third group, like where it's like the fourth match. Because I think the opener, you could still do that stuff. But even the openers, they had so many guys who were debuting on those shows. You could find bunch of different opening match guys for that.
Easily.
Yeah, and then the minis, and then you do the women. I think they're elevating the women, although the women this week weren't on. Remember there was a couple weeks where the women were on like every single show?
Yes.
So like, it's like... And they were higher on the card too. I think that show they were on Dalys and Marcela were like the fourth match.
Yes, they
and
were.
Even the trios match the previous week was like in the fourth.
And that was the other odd thing with the match that looked that awkward. It was weird having it that.
And it's weird because the other matches were so much better. The earlier matches to that were a lot better than the women's.
Now again, I would again going back to my girl Amapola. If I heard Amapola was going to wrestle,
she was the one announcing.
well, that's right.
Yeah.
Wasn't she?
Yeah.
If I heard she was going to wrestle a singles with either Marcela or Dalys, I'd watch it just because I think she could do. Yeah. She could make that.
And that's
move.
the thing. I think that's where it is. Where it fell apart. Dalys can't carry Marcela, whereas Amapola can carry her. And Marcela is very technica. Her style is more technica.
Yes.
Where it's like, if that other person can't do what, she's just going to look like she's just doing a bunch of...
Absolutely.
And I think she's kind of gotten a little older. They really haven't done anything with a lot of the women. I'm surprised they added 2 new women to the roster. So, Haro Chita and Metallica.
And it's funny when we're talking about opening match wrestlers is, and I think this has always been true in Mexico, there are more wrestlers in any town or city than there are Starbucks coffee shops here.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And I bet you there's a lot who are really good, and why not use some of them the openers?
Give a tryout to somebody.
Yeah.
They don't even have to. Remember they did that. There was like a 3-month period where they were debuting guys on Sundays. Golden Magic was on there for a while. That dude Yago, remember Yago?
Which one was he?
He was in that Gran Alternativa, that tournament.
Oh,
remember they were teaming that young. They brought in that one.
Yes. I don't remember him, but I remember
Yago was. He gave the tale of he got the name from the Shakespeare character or something like that. Then there was the big dude on Warrior Steel. They were debuting a bunch of different.
Yeah, I never saw Warrior Steel.
Yeah, but you remember the names.
Yes,
and all that.
I do. Yes,
and then they were debuting all these guys, and like, what happened to all those guys? They could have filled in the opening match. It's like you can't have but you know what it is? They don't want to. You never see guys leave Triple CML really. Every once in a while, somebody will leave because they realize that they're not really going to the next level, or it's the same.
Yeah.
It's if you're there or not there, it doesn't really matter.
And there's some people, and I don't think people realize this. When I heard Tom Pritchard on Brian Last's most recent show, he outright said, I never dreamed or aimed at being a main eventer. I just wanted to be in the business. Yeah. And people forget there are wrestlers who just want to be wrestlers, and they want to get over for whatever role they need to get over in, but they want to get other people over.
Hey, let me ask you this. If your dad was a wrestler and you trained 6 years in CML in Arena Mexico, how good should you be?
You should be a perfectionist. You should be amazing.
Shouldn't you be really good? Shouldn't you be at like Superboy's kids level?
Yes.
Like at the very least, or like
absolutely.
Sangre Chicana's son. Although the other thing I was with I think also possible is a lot of the wrestlers from the 80s, since there was a lot more work back then for those luchadors, like UWA, going to Japan and all that stuff, I could see it's possible that they didn't really spend a lot of time with their sons or daughters to train them. So it's possible that also. But I mean, 6 years of training in Arena Mexico, shouldn't you at least be able to be promising?
You should be promising, not just because of your dad, but you're probably being trained by some of the cream of the crop in Lucha Libre.
Worst case, shouldn't we be saying, how could you be training for 6 years and not be good?
Yes.
Because I mean, really, if you're training in Mexico, you should really already be I would say 3 years probably you should already be really good.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like...
And it's Sangre Chicana's son?
It's Sangre Imperial.
Oh, okay.
He just debuted for CMLL.
Yes.
And he wasn't that great.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like...
Wow.
Yeah, it's like... there's a lot of guys.
And it's different. I remember, I can't remember how long ago it was in the last couple of years of finally seeing Connect Jr. And
he's bad.
He was terrible. And I got the sense he looked like he would rather be anywhere else than in a wrestling ring. He looked so not into...
Hijo de Solitario. I remember we got
probably the all-time worst.
And we got grief for being too hard on him on one of the podcasts. And I was like, and my response was, no, we're not.
No, we're not. And you know me, I give people a lot.
When they were saying, because he was feuding with Hijo de Santo, and they were saying, oh no, Hijo de Santo is really good. I mean, don't take shit. He might be an asshole in real life.
Oh yeah,
but the motherfucker can go. You know,
absolutely,
that motherfucker can go.
Absolutely, yeah. Don't confuse somebody with being a dick with not being talented.
Yeah,
you know. Hijo de Solitario, in my opinion, is probably the worst second generation wrestler in Mexico I saw.
I think that was back then, because now there's been a lot worse.
It probably has. But I mean, as far as somebody who at one point looked like they were going to push.
Yeah, that they were going to push, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he was like the George Goulas of Mexico.
There's a couple Casas relatives that aren't very good.
Which is amazing. And that's one of those where I would love to know what the story is. Is it just that they don't have it, or do they have this attitude, well, I'm a Casas?
Yeah.
You know?
That's like, do they not have it? Are they just not training hard enough? Do their family members, none of them are around to like help train them?
Or are they being pushed into the business?
Yeah, that's what I've always wondered.
Because that's what I wondered about Connect Jr. I was watching this guy wrestling, and even though he had a mask on, I could, maybe he's just not good, but I almost got the feeling he wishes, he was out at a party or a concert, anything but in this wrestling ring. And I do wonder if some guys get pushed into it by their parents.
Yeah, because I mean, you see a lot of guys who are just not made for it, and and I think it might have been Negro Navarro who we asked about that, and he might have mentioned that something like that. I can't remember if it was him.
I think it got brought up because I remember
it might have been him or Casas, where we talked about like why they last, and they were saying that because I think I asked them about about a certain wrestler not being good. And it's really because they don't really put in the effort and stuff like that. I can't remember if it was one of them. I can't remember.
Wait. Maybe that was Casas, because remember, didn't he didn't outright say it, but allude that there were several people in his family who weren't...
No, he said about certain people in the roster that he just thought weren't as good.
Okay.
Not the family.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he would say anything like that about the family. And Canelo hadn't debuted yet. Canelo came in that in Boost.
I thought it was a Danny Cut. Was it Danny?
Danny? Yeah, but I don't think he even remembers Danny Cut. Yeah, because I don't think we even remember like certain guys in the family.
Yeah.
Because by that point it was still, I think, what was that? 2012. I think we did that.
Was it that long ago? I thought it was 2014.
Somewhere around then.
Give or take 2 years.
I think it was in December though, so
it was December, and I think
might have been 2013.
13 or 14.
Yeah, because it was somewhere in that era.
Well, I'll go on Facebook and find the pictures.
No, I can find it right now.
That's one way to timestamp it.
I think I even wrote the date.
So we will entertain people with our...
You can keep... what were you going to say?
What was I going to say? I was, since we're talking about the Casas, amazing how the Casas and the Brasso family, talk about a dynasty, probably one of the biggest dynasties in wrestling, and...
Yeah, and they're even bigger,
especially because
they're all tied in together.
Yeah, they're tied in together. Which two members married into the family?
Psycho Clown and I think Omi Casas, Negro's daughter.
Wow, it's just amazing. I always hear this talk about wrestling families. You hear the heart. 11:30.
I just don't want to press it where it plays it.
Oh yes.
Yeah, 2014. You're right.
Okay, I thought that.
Yeah, because I just remember it was in December or something.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because it was raining that day.
And I also remember Dan on the way there, Dan was singing, Negra Casa's coming to town.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, back
to, I wanted to tell you about the IWRG Castillo del Terror.
Oh, do tell me, please.
They had this is the annual... cage match where everybody in a bunch, they pick 10 or 12 guys from IWRG or the independents to put their mask on the line.
Now Castillo, is that Castle?
Castle
of Terror?
Castle of Terror. So it's a big old cage. Everybody's in there. They do the rule where you have to fight for 5-10 minutes, and then once the bell rings, you can escape. So they did this thing where Zatura was in the match. He had a cool mask. He's the guy who was he was pretty good a couple of years ago, but he hasn't been wrestling a lot lately.
Yeah.
So he comes back to wrestle this. So what they did, he climbs to the top of the cage and he does a dive off the cage and lands on everybody. Mm-hmm. But apparently, this is everybody. First of all, landing on everybody, it was dumb because he lands on everybody. So how's he going to get hurt, right?
Yes.
So then he starts rolling around because he hurt his knee or something.
Uh-huh.
So he's injured. Everybody stands up and they're looking at him, and they all look at each other, and everyone climbs out of the cage at the same time. So he ends up losing because everybody climbs out of the cage and he couldn't escape. I mean, it's a funny concept, but could you imagine?
It's like an incredibly strange wrestling.
Yes,
concept.
that would work in incredibly strange wrestling. But I think people paying to go watch that, I think they're probably.
I don't think I would like that.
Yeah, I'd be like, this kind of sucked.
And also, you're a fan, and you're thinking of the storyline. He climbs to the top of the cage. He could escape.
Yeah, but
let's jump on somebody.
Yeah. And then he fucks up because he's pretty much screwed out of.
Yeah.
He gets hurt, so he stays in there. Yeah, that was
That's
one of those,
funny.
Yeah, that was one of those weird finishes. We were gonna talk about, because I haven't talked about it. Powerbomb TV.
Yes, and I do not know anything about it. So
Powerbomb TV is this new streaming service for pro wrestling. It's going to be mainly independent wrestling. Mm-hmm. The first stuff they announced was they worked out the first promotion they announced was that they worked out a deal with the promotion out of Monterey called Riot. Mm-hmm. They're going are they going to produce it, they're going to send them. I guess they're going to help them get better production upgrades. Mm-hmm. Probably a better like an HD camera or something.
Yes.
Or a better cell phone or something. An iPhone. I don't want to be. I'm just joking. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. It's independent wrestling. I mean, if you're not laughing at that stuff, I mean, come on. Like, however you get it,
absolutely,
you're happy with it.
Yeah.
They announced that. Then a couple of days later, they announced that they were working out deals with Black Terry Jr. For those of you, I mean, everybody listening to this show probably knows Black Terry Jr. because we brought him up a lot. He takes a lot of photos. He's a photographer, but he also films a lot of the matches. So they actually bought some of his content off independent wrestling. I think it's a lot of the smaller indie groups, not Lucha Memes, not Cara Lucha, and not IWRG. I think it's just the other stuff. I don't know about IWRG. You never know with them. Actually, I don't think he would be able to, because
I picture them being I picture IWRG being their own entity.
Yeah, and I think Black Terry would know more or less. Not, Black Terry Jr. would know more or less not to. And then another person named I think it's Carcius or something like that, who films. He's mostly known for filming Cara Lucha, but he films a lot of the independent shows throughout Mexico City. So they worked out deals with those three groups. So they're getting that Lucha. I guess they're talking to more independent promotions.
And I was going to say, is this Powerbomb? Is this also going to be indie wrestling in this country too?
Yeah. It's gonna. They want everything. They want if you're interested.
That sounds
fun.
I
think the price is going to be $9.99. Mm-hmm. So they're also producing a show for Dylan Hale's
yes,
his dad.
Mm-hmm. No, his dad.
His dad is like this famous fan now, a super fan now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Papa Hales.
I didn't know that.
So he's getting his own show on
Papa
there.
Hales.
Fired up.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know how. I'm not gonna say I don't know, because I don't know the man. He seems like a great dude.
Right.
I mean, somebody you want to meet and hang out.
I just love the concept.
Yeah. So I mean,
usually you hear about.
I don't know if I would want to watch the show, but it's like there's so many people who like wrestling for different reasons.
Yeah, but I love, because you hear about a lot of kids who got into wrestling because their parents watched it. I heard of a parent who started watching because that's
no. I think he started watching before.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Don't get. I mentioned,
well, they should spin it like.
No, I mentioned Dylan because he's the one you know Dylan.
Yeah, I do know. Yeah,
more than I do, and so because you've done shows with him.
Yes.
They're doing that, and I think they announced a promotion out of New York, an indie group out of New York. I'm wondering if they've talked to. I think they've talked to promotions in California and stuff like that.
That's when I'd be up for giving a try.
Yeah, for $9.99.
Give it a shot.
Give it a shot. Yeah.
But that sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, I don't know what the other promotions are, so that's something that's interesting. And then I didn't realize that when they announced that the dude who runs Lucha Memes, was very, very emphatic in telling him that everything was available. I guess because he knows Black Terry films his matches, and he kind of was like, everything's available except my stuff. Because I guess he's going to work out a deal with Mas Lucha. Mas Lucha, the guys who used to do Tercera Caída, the talk show, they're now doing a podcast through YouTube, which is like a weird thing. Like everybody, but I mean, more people listen to YouTube. I mean, it's weird. It's like more people go to YouTube.
I watch so much of my TV on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't listen to podcasts on YouTube other than Conan's and that podcast.
Right.
It just seems so foreign to me. It's like to me, it was easier for me to work out a deal for Podbean and like get an app, and people can listen to it on their phone, on their tablet, on their laptop, all these other options. Whereas YouTube, you have to download, you have to like let it upload and stuff like that. And people have different type of, I don't know. It just seemed a little different.
It is so diverse. I mean, media is such a trip these days. I mean, think about...
Plus, I wouldn't know how to do that stuff on YouTube either, so...
I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
I finally figured out how to upload a video to YouTube.
Really?
That's a challenge.
Oh, jeez. I know how to do that.
I have two left hands.
Yeah, I know how to do that. I have
two left hands.
It just takes forever.
And a spaced out brain. So
I haven't uploaded anything since I got one of those strikes.
Oh yes. But no, it's a trip. How remember like 20 years ago, who would have thought that not only would wrestling, how you view wrestling on TV would be so different, but it would be so diverse and so...
Well, just think about podcasting. I mean, who would have thought, like, how many of us when we were kids thought, man, I wish we could talk about wrestling, maybe do a radio show. But how do you do a radio show? Who's going to want to get it? And then you would get, maybe Mike Tenay got a radio show. But I mean, Mike Tenay was... he was in Las Vegas.
Oh, hell, I remember being 9 or 10, and the fun thing to do was me and my friends would take our tape recorder and pretend like we're doing a radio show.
Yeah.
And we'd always think, God, wouldn't it be neat if you could do this in real life?
And now you can. Yes, now you can do it. It's like, and it's weird, like a lot of the younger people, like, they don't realize, like a lot of the older people are like, man, this is so weird for us to do a podcast, and you're not really used to it. So it's like I'm surprised more people don't do it, and there's a lot of people doing it too.
I remember, telling one of my nephews some time ago, like, the concept of, we didn't even have videotapes. If there was a movie that you really liked,
you had to go home and watch it.
Yeah, you had to hope that would be brought back to the theater sometime as a double, as the second leg of a double feature. Yeah. Or if it aired on TV, you had to hope that
would replay at a later date.
Replay and wouldn't be edited too much.
Yeah.
It's just it's amazing how just and I'm sure when I was a kid there were adults who were thinking, oh yeah, remember when we only had radio and maybe the movies sometimes, it's like...
Yeah, like us nowadays is like, you miss TV shows, like, oh, I could watch it on Netflix, the full season.
Absolutely.
I'll binge watch it on Netflix, or if you want to hear a podcast, you download it, you listen to it whenever you want, or you don't even have to download it. You could just if you have a fast internet,
you can listen to it a year later if you want.
It's fine, and
it's just so funny. I have so many TV shows recommended to me, and I'd love to watch them all. But if I even watched half of what was recommended to me, I would be doing nothing but watching TV because there's so much content. And I'm not just talking about...
Well, it's like with Lucha. Lucha, we'll do the Lucha Talk podcast, and I'll watch CML Friday and Lucha Underground on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And that's already a lot. That's like 3 hours right there. I could talk about that for a long time. That's like a 45-minute show. Like, if you really want to talk about that, I could talk about that for 45 minutes.
Absolutely, yes.
But then you have, but then I'll watch Elite, a couple of matches from Elite. I don't watch full shows sometimes because I like, they told me, they asked me if I was going to watch AAA. Like, they always ask me if I want to watch AAA, but like last week, instead of watching AAA, I watched the match, Brian Cage and Sammy Guevara versus Rey Mysterio and Laredo Kid from Texas, which was really good. Sammy Guevara is really good.
Really?
A really good young wrestler. They call him Bieber because he's
Bieber
because he's got the Bieber look. But he's young. He's a young guy, so they're gonna pick at something.
Of course, yeah.
And but him and Laredo Kid were really good. Rey Mysterio, those obviously good guys. And I'm like, I watched that. That's like a 20-minute match. What else am I going to watch? And then I'll watch like can't watch anything on Monday because I'm doing a podcast on Monday.
Yes.
Like, so it's like,
there's only so much time.
And sometimes I'll watch the Tuesday show. Like, I may not watch the entire thing, but I'll watch like the good match.
We have friends and family to interact with too.
And that's the other thing. Like, sometimes I'll be at my sister's house for like a weekend, or it's hard. It's difficult to watch all that stuff at once.
Absolutely.
And to do a podcast that often. The good thing, like for us, and I was telling the Lucha Talk crew, is that there's so much to talk about because there's so much news going on. Like we were talking about how last week was a slow week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dudes, we could talk about Mascara Dorada leaving. I mean, there's so much, and I think Phoenix did another. And then there's the other thing. There's now interviews. You could do. There's other people doing podcasts in Spanish where they actually can interview people, and it's like because they speak Spanish, and then we get that content. So there's so much stuff to talk about. It's like it's not just the shows themselves. There's so much other stuff.
Absolutely. There's
See, like I look at it this way: there's 3 people doing the show, and like with us, there's 2 people on the show. One of us can watch something, and somebody else is watching something different.
Yes,
that's how it works.
Yes, let's make it eclectic and interesting.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So like I was saying, starting. Well, I guess pretty soon we'll start doing this.
Yes.
Do the Lucha Classica podcast, and then do the
you and I will
Slam and
start
Stand.
working out all the odds and ends. And I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, should be good.
Excellent.
Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we're good to go. This has been fun. It's really good being back.
Did you watch AAA?
I think the last time I watched AAA was the last time I watched Raw. So.
You know, Elite this past Thursday, they booked 3 Blue Demon Jr. singles matches. They had Blue Demon.
What?
They had Blue Demon Jr. wrestle 3 singles matches.
Wait. Okay, let me ask you this: are the promoters having a bet who can run their promotion into the ground faster than the other one?
They had him wrestle Extreme Tiger, Caristico, and then they had him wrestle Cibernetico. You're like, Cibernetico from Blue Demon.
Wow.
Where do I sign up to watch that? I hope it gets posted. The last show they posted it. We did the Lucha Talk podcast on Monday. We couldn't talk about it because there was nothing up new for Elite.
Right.
But we've been trying to watch Elite, and then they posted like the next day. I was like, dude, come on, why did you like do that?
Wow.
But it's like there's some stuff. There's actually some good stuff on Elite. There's not I actually like Elite a little more than AAA though.
Really?
But Elite's really random because it's starting to look like ex AAA.
Oh, jeez.
So it's like it's starting.
Kind of like they had something going. They're starting to lose their bearings.
Well, the split up with CMLL kind of hurt. But then they also, what helped them is they have Rey Escorpion. Mm-hmm. They got Rey Escorpion, I guess. They made like a deal where they got Rey Escorpion, and Caristico's on there too. LA Park's still with them, but their undercard sometimes has a couple of good matches in it.
Oh, okay.
But like, there's so much like it's so random. The lineup
like
just
the big picture was inconsistent.
Yeah, and that's how Elite was from the very beginning. I mean, they haven't done the Liga Elite tournament in a while, so
wow,
and that still might exist. Although I think the next show might be their final show this season of the year. Mm-hmm. So we're all wondering if it's going to come back for next year.
Interesting.
Because you never know with Elite.
Yep.
It's too bad because I thought they had a puncher's chance to be the number 3 promotion.
For a while, they looked like they were on.
I don't know what that means. Is that good or bad?
When it was first announced, the whole concept, I just kind of thought another one,
indie group.
But. Yeah, for a while it looked like it was going somewhere.
Yeah. Now they're on TV here also. So, but it's like, it's not that interesting.
Yeah.
So,
well,
that's all I have.
And that's all I have. And until we have a whole lot more, which we hope to soon, we will see you have cats really soon. Have a totally bitchin' week, ladies and gentlemen. Take it easy.